What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. For this camera comparison we have the brand new POCO M3 and the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite, one of my favorite budget phones out there. Now between these two the POCO M3 is also the cheaper device, so today's camera comparison is mostly intended to show you what the cameras on the back of the POCO M3 can actually do compared to another budget friendly device. And with that being said, I think we're gonna start by checking out some pictures that I took with the main cameras on these two devices. And just before we do that, make sure that you press that like button. Alright, so taking a quick look at some of the pictures that I took during the day with the main cameras on the back of these two devices, I've noticed that most pictures from the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite seem to be a bit brighter, and I personally prefer the somewhat brighter pictures from the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite. Looking at the colors, the POCO M3 does seem to have somewhat more saturated colors, so some people may actually prefer those more saturated colors in some of those pictures. As for dynamic range, once again, I feel that the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite does better than the POCO M3. If you look in the shadows in some of those pictures, you can definitely see way more in the pictures taken by the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite. So yeah, those are some pictures that I took with the main cameras on the back of the POCO M3 and the Mi 10T Lite. What do you guys think about these pictures? Definitely leave a comment and let me know. Moving on to some portrait mode pictures, well, if you have plenty of light, the POCO M3 does seem to do pretty good for portrait mode pictures. The edge detection looks great, the subject in those pictures looks great, but as soon as you don't have enough light when you take a portrait mode picture, the pictures taken by the POCO M3 do become quite grainy. So for portrait mode pictures, once again, the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite does seem to do better than the POCO M3. And next we're also going to check out some zoom pictures that I took with both these devices. Neither device has a telephoto lens, so what you're about to see is basically digital zoom. So I've done 5x zoom for those pictures, and here once again the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite does seem to do better in every single picture compared to the POCO M3. The pictures from the POCO M3 are just too washed out, and you can barely see what's happening in those pictures. So I'm gonna say that for daytime pictures the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite would do better than the POCO M3. But once again, let me know your thoughts in a comment down below. Next we're gonna move on and check out some pictures that I took at night with the POCO M3 and of course with the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite. And for all the nighttime pictures that you're about to see, I use the night modes on both devices. So the POCO M3 has a night mode as well. Alright, so the first thing I've noticed looking at those pictures is the fact that most pictures taken by the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite do seem to be a bit brighter. Not a lot brighter, but definitely brighter. The second biggest thing I've noticed is the fact that most pictures taken by the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite are sharper. And that is very important when you take nighttime pictures. So for nighttime pictures, once again, I feel that the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite does better than the POCO M3, but you kind of have to take into consideration the prices of these devices. So the Xiaomi is more expensive than the POCO M3. So yeah, for nighttime pictures, once again, the Xiaomi would do better. Next, we're gonna move on and check out some sample recordings that I've done with both these devices. So the maximum recording resolution for the POCO M3 is 1080p at 30 frames per second. However, we don't seem to get any type of IMI stabilization at that resolution. With the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite, you can actually record in 4K at 30 frames per second, and of course we also have IMI stabilization. So you'll definitely notice a big difference for IMI stabilization. I've also noticed that the sound quality from the internal microphone from the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite is better. And with that being said, let's watch those sample recordings and I will be right back. And this is a super quick recording with the front-facing cameras on the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite and of course on the POCO M3. So the maximum recording resolution for the front-facing cameras on both devices is 1080p at 30 frames per second, and that's the resolution that I'm currently using. So yeah, this is how a recording from the front-facing cameras would look like. Alright, we have a quick video recording between the POCO M3 and the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite. For this recording I'm doing 1080p at 30 frames per second and using the main lenses on the back of these two devices. Now with the Xiaomi I could actually do 4K at 30 frames per second, where with the POCO M3 the maximum recording resolution is 1080p at 30 frames per second. Keep in mind that it's also super windy out, so you're probably going to hear a lot of wind aside from my voice. I'm also going to walk a bit faster so you can see how the IMI stabilization does. And I'm also going to run a bit. So yeah, this is how recording in 1080p at 30 frames per second would look between the POCO M3 and the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite. Alright, this is a quick recording between the POCO M3 and the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite in low light. For this recording I'm using the main lenses on the back of these two devices and recording in 1080p at 30 frames per second. So we're gonna walk this way for a bit, just so you can see how the image stabilization looks like if you're filming at night. And from what I'm seeing on the screens here, the Xiaomi does seem to do much better for that. So I'm just gonna stop somewhere around here, we'll pan left for a bit. So yeah, this is how a recording in low light between these two devices would look like. So what do you guys think about those sample recordings? Personally, I was really hoping that the POCO M3 would have image stabilization for those recordings. I just don't see why it doesn't have image stabilization, because the processor that we have inside this device is more than capable of supporting image stabilization. So I'm not sure why they decided not to use image stabilization. Alright, next we are moving on to selfies, and for selfies, once again, it seems that the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite does better for all the selfies. So the selfies that I took during the day and the selfies that I took at night. So yeah, for selfies, once again, the Xiaomi is better. So there you have it, this is the POCO M3, just in case you're wondering how good those cameras on the back of it can do when compared to a phone like this one, like the Xiaomi Mi 10T Lite. Well, thanks for watching, don't forget to press that like button and I'll see you guys in the next one.